Good afternoon, Grace Covenant. I pray that you are continuing to hold up in these days of pandemic, all the pandemics that are challenging us and teaching us and also troubling us these days. So it has been one of those crazy days, one of those days where you think you have a plan, but the plan goes out the window because you keep getting other things thrown at you that you need to attend to. And every moment is kind of an adaptive moment. It's kind of just trying to get into the rhythm and the flow of what is happening, because it's not what you expected to happen. So this day has kind of been like a little microcosm of what this pandemic has been for us. Um, just life has changed so dramatically. And as cases go up of COVID-19, and states have to walk back some of their reopening plans, yet again, we're having to adjust. And I think what I feel myself adjusting the most is just kind of expectations and state of mind, because here we are in July, and we're kind of worse off than we were in March when we started our stay-at-home order. Well, not kind of, we are. And so what does that mean for us as people of faith? How do we stay present to the complications and the pain and the suffering and the unknowns of what's going on, and remain faithful, hopeful, loving, compassionate, patient, prophetic, all the things that our faith calls us to be. So I wanted to talk for a minute today about what spiritual practice is. Sometimes we want to separate spiritual practice from justice work, or we want to separate spiritual practice from our everyday lives, that it's some kind of thing set apart. But I want to challenge you to stretch yourself into a mentality that really grounds you in the kind of the constancy of practice. Everything we do is a practice, and it becomes framed in terms of spiritual practice when we understand that God is at work in all these little practices that we're being invited to make ourselves aware of. And one of the things that is really calling to our community and to our country and to our planet right now especially is the practices around anti-racism. And I've heard other people say, well, that's not my issue. I'm involved in earth justice, or I care about animal rights, or I care about, I'm involved in political canvassing or something like that. And I guess, I don't guess, I know that we need to put anti-racism work in a different category. Anti-racism isn't an issue. It's not a political platform. It's not a hobby. It's not an interest. It is the work of our souls. It is about our spiritual well-being. It's about our groundedness in God. Because racism is a function of our estrangement from God and our lack of grounding in Spirit's constant presence with us. And racism is something that estranges us from ourselves, from our neighbors, and from God. So the work of anti-racism really is a spiritual practice. It is about mending and healing this deep woundedness that exists among human beings, within human beings and between humanity and God. So I want to invite you to think about the challenges that are facing us right now around anti-racism. I want you to expand your mentality and think about that as spiritual practice. So just as with any spiritual practice, you need to really bring intention to that. And you need to really make sure you're taking care of yourself so you can sustain that work. So much of anti-racism work is, especially for white identified people, involves us being very self-aware, able to regulate our emotions, able to anticipate our reactions, able to talk to ourselves about what's happening in our bodies, in our spirits, in our minds when we're doing this work. We are, in a very real sense, as white identified people, unearthing a lot of things that are unconscious and subconscious. And so the work can be very healing, but it can also be exhausting and disorienting. And it really calls on us to ground ourselves strongly in God's word, in prayer, in breathing, in groundedness, and just in what are the things that you do to take care of your well-being. That's what you need to do to be able to do anti-racism work so that you can stay strong, you can grow in your resilience, you can have a lot of perseverance and stamina, you can sit with tension, you can sit with hard conversations and hard feelings that won't be resolved, that you can know when you need to take a deep breath, get a drink of water, take a walk, that you know when you need a little bit more time with an idea or with a feeling. This is work that involves our family histories, our deepest kind of psychic demons. And so it's multi-layered. You're not just going to read a book. You're not just going to go to a class. You're not just going to go to a protest and boom, you're done with anti-racism work. This is a way of life, and it is a way of life that is faith-filled. It is a faithful way of life. So your Christian journey, this is it. This is the essence of it really right now. Your journey as a Jesus follower is anti-racism work. Your journey as a human being seeking after healing is anti-racism work. Your journey to be healed around trauma or pain or loneliness or brokenness in relationships, that is anti-racism work. And so I invite you to just expand your understanding of what the invitation is. You're embracing this because God is calling us to embrace it. You're embracing it because there is a cry from our Black and brown and indigenous neighbors that's been crying out for a long time. But you're also engaging this because your soul depends on it. And your well-being, your spiritual well-being depends on it. I don't use the word allyship a lot because I feel like that removes us from, that just says, oh, we're doing it to help somebody else. White identified people and people so immersed in white supremacy culture that they can't see it, we are afflicted. We aren't just allies. We're also in this because we need healing. We are the most pronounced carriers of this brokenness. And so I hope you can feel the Spirit's generosity in this moment that we're in on our planet right now. The Spirit really is saying there is a generous invitation waiting for you to engage in this work, that can give you and your communities and your families and your churches and your congregations and your workplaces a new kind of vitality and healing and integrity that the world has been waiting for a long, long time. So blessings in this work. I'm glad we're in it together. And I send my love to you and all that this means for you.